I was pretty much drawn to their aesthetics to start with, all these beautiful forms but also bizarre forms, all these different kinds of manifestations. But then gradually I wanted to know what they were doing. I was pretty sure they weren't just lying around in the bush, they were actually doing something. So that took me down the path of their science. But I've never really separated their aesthetics and their science. I see the two as working together. And yeah, I guess over the last few decades I've been looking at their ecology, at their conservation, how they work, what they do in forests and ecosystems. So it's one of those things, once you're hooked, it's pretty hard to separate yourself. I've seen this huge increase in interest, so it's both in foraging, looking for edible fungi, but also for foraying. So my name is Alison Pouliot. I'm an ecologist with a particular interest in fungi, and we're here in the wonderful northeast of Victoria. It's autumn, it's a perfect day here in Wooragee to run a workshop on fungi. Today there's a bit of a special focus. Over the years we've done a lot on the conservation, on the ecology, different aspects of fungi, but today we're going to look specifically at how to differentiate edible and toxic species. So for every edible mushroom there's often a doppelganger or a lookalike species. So today we'll be looking at touching, feeling, smelling the different fungi, learning about what particular diagnostic features we need to look at to make a positive identification and then differentiate edible and toxic species. We've collected from a great range of different environments to try and give participants an idea of the diversity of fungi that are out there. Foragers do need to be aware that all biodiversity in Australia is protected. So all biodiversity means flora, plants, fauna, animals and fungi are protected on public land, so you must be on private land. Only really just starting to scratch the surface. We don't really know how many fungi there are in Australia. We think we've named something like 15 to 16,000. We've now produced this little guide called Fungi of North East Victoria, and it illustrates a selection of about 100 different species that grow in the region. North East Victoria is a fabulous spot because there's a real diversity of different ecologies. We've got various types of woodlands and forests and wetland ecosystems. We've got high nutrient soils, low nutrient soils. We've got topography, microclimates. So with that different diversity of ecologies and vegetation and microclimates, we get a great range of different fungi. For a long time we've had these guides about the fauna and the flora, and we very much overlooked the third F, the kingdom fungi. So the idea is that when people go out, they recognise it's not just orchids or birds or trees out there, but there's this great suite of different fungi, and this gives people a bit of an indication of what's there, and also the names, whether they're growing in soil or whether they're growing on wood, on living trees or dead trees. So it gives a bit of an idea of the species and where they grow. Landcare's been the most wonderful organisation. If we think of all those millions of trees that have gone into the ground over the last 30 odd years since Landcare started, but when we look at the natural succession of an environment which organisms colonise at different points, it doesn't often start with a tree. It usually starts with what we call the cryptogamic crusts. That is all the things like the fungi, including the lichens, the liverworts, the mosses, and they put stability and structure into soil. And innovative Landcare has recognised that fungi are such a critical part of getting that structure, that architecture, building up the nutrients and recycling in soils. So now fungi are being recognised as if we can get that foundation in there, if we can actually get that diversity, that biology back into the soils, that's going to help every single tree that's planted.